Do you think, as a reporter running around, are people getting a sense, do you think, in America, of the gap between the reality of what's continuing and all of the promises?
That's a heavy question, particularly because I think that Trump benefited from the media blind spot, which we talked about. The East and West Coast social ecologies are so different than what's happening in the heartland, and that contrast has only grown. One of the reasons why the president succeeded in winning the election was that the Obama recovery, that hope and change had grown moldy because, as we've identified before, 6,000 empty homes in Cleveland, it just wasn't happening, and the deterioration continued. In point of fact, the media hasn't corrected itself. For a brief period when it got involved with discussing how did they miss this, because remember, all the pundits said Trump, with the exception of you and I perhaps, were saying we couldn't see a path for Trump's victory, yet he won. So what they've been focusing on is not so much how did they miss it, but trying to shift blame to the discussion of Russia, which may have also been true. Right. But what they have not addressed is the blind spot they have on what's happening in America. So what is really happening on the ground still isn't being discussed. We've had for the third year in a row a decline in the average life expectancy in the United States. This has not happened since the First World War. This is cataclysmic. We judge other nations by this singular standard as whether or not they're deserving foreign aid based on that criteria. That's one of the top things, and we're going backward. We see household formation continuing to suffer. An entire generation with a $1.5 trillion yoke debt, which are the 20s-something stuck in their parents' basement, and not even capable of being in orbit and procreating, which is going to have a profound impact as we approach this tremendous challenge of funding our retirement, right? And so the country, on all counts, is on the verge of a failure that's catastrophic, but we're not seeing it on television because there's this constant phony narrative, well, the unemployment rate is down, and buying into and trying to give Trump credit for a totally full recovery, which if you just scratch the bit of the veneer, go to any real city, you'll see doesn't exist.
And even in the areas they boast of, if you look just a millimeter below the surface, you can see the problem. Take the stock market.
Right.
In the last several weeks, we have seen incredible volatility, mammoth drops, right. 600, 700, 800 points in a day. This is because the people involved who have made a lot of money understand that the massive introduction of new money into the economy by the Federal Reserve to prevent the collapse that started in 2008. All that money did not create lots of jobs, did not bring back manufacturing. Most of it went into the stock market, inflated all those prices. This is a very nice story, but the minute you get even the faintest whiff that this kind of crutch might be pulled away, boom.
Right. It's the key moment 2 seconds before in The Wizard of Oz where Dorothy and her cohorts pull the curtain back and reveal the phony.
Little baldy fellow.
And this is really, and I can't overemphasize that this is part and parcel of that tax cut. And I questioned Trump about this when he rolled this out in the primary. I had a chance to engage him at a press conference. This business of a massive tax cut for multinationals to repatriate the money has been tried. Tried back in 2004 in the Bush years, resulted in, surprise, surprise, increased pay for CEOs and stock buybacks. Stock buybacks are the kind of elites three-card Monte or pyramid scheme.
Yes.
You don't create any change in behavior, no new product, nothing new to market, no new technology. You just keep buying it back and spinning it until it builds up in value. That's where we are. Meanwhile, the underlying dynamic in terms of infrastructure, investment in the social capital has all been in decline, and it's paying off, as I say, in this decline of life expectancy, which is being driven by the increased opioid addiction and suicide, which are reported as discrete things that are happening, and like meteorological conditions. Well, in other news, by the way, more people are killing themselves. And then we talk about the financial markets. We never bring holistically together the way that people are bearing this pressure in a very tangible way, which is creating all kinds of collateral damage. This is an echo of the decision in 2008 that Barack Obama made in consult with Geithner and Summers to preserve at all costs the Wall Street and the ability to make money with money and to cut adrift. I mean, like the Titanic depriving people of lifeboats, working class and Main Street America. And that's what we're living with now, and nothing has changed.